Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for coming to this session, Becoming a Successful Sister. My name is Dawn Jarvis and I'm a nurse entrepreneur and the founder, CEO and transformation director of Dawn Jarvis Limited. In today's session, we'll be looking at how you can reach your full potential regardless of your ethnicity or background. I'm going to give you practical advice and guidance for stepping up into a leadership position. I'm going to explore the power of networking to build your career, and I'm hoping that you will leave this session understanding the importance of working in and leading in a diverse workforce. So this slide's a little bit about me and my qualifications and experience and the skills that I've developed in my career. So I'm a registered nurse, I'm a registered children's nurse and registered to work with adults as well. I've been in the NHS for 37 years and I started my career as an enrolled nurse. And, you know, my career high was being a nursing leadership program director for North East London, looking at how we could expand leadership opportunities within a STP, which is a Sustainable Transformation Partnership and might be called something else now. I'm going to come back to that slide later, but so this is just what I said. I've been started my career as an enrolled nurse, 37 years, and my clinical expertise was in children's nursing and children's intensive care. But across my career, it was a portfolio career, and I had experience in management and leadership. I was also a commissioner of children's and maternity services. I did change management and health service improvement. I really love doing patient engagement and working with nursing leaders and nursing leadership. I really enjoyed quality improvement, and my passion was around mentoring and coaching. I founded Dawn Jarvis Limited in September 2019, although it had a different name then. And I became a full-time nurse entrepreneur in September 2020, so only just now. And I have developed over the years 3 brands. One is the Diverse Nurse, one is the Clinician Loctician, I do braids and locks, and also the Dawn Doll Daydream band, which is around dolls and fashion dolls. So you might be asking yourself, what's a nurse entrepreneur? Well, to me, I'm not quite sure of the actual dictionary definition, but to me, a nurse entrepreneur is a registered nurse who makes her living using transferable skills and expertise gained in their career as a nurse. So I'm talking to you from the Diverse Nurse brand, and my mission is to help people understand that there's a great diversity in healthcare and in health and the lived experience of the healthcare populations that we as healthcare workers serve. And I want to give people strategies that reflect the impact of diversity on health and well-being and the lived experience of healthcare workforce and the users of healthcare services. And my motto for the Diverse Nurse is all things are possible. So in that work, I'm going to be doing coaching, training, facilitation, and my purpose, I'm led by the work, the legislation actually of the Equality Act 2010. Now, the Equality Act 2010 pulled together various bits of legislation around age and around race and around disability into one act. And the purpose of the act is to protect people from discrimination in the workplace, in their life and wider society. So I think it's important to look at what the actual protected characteristics are, because that is sort of the basis of my work and the people I want to work with. And I want to help healthcare executives to work with these populations, both in the workforce and in the wider population. So the protected characteristics of the Equality Act are disability, gender reassignment, race, religion or belief, sex, sexual orientation, marriage or civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity. So that's just a bit of background about me and my company. And the reason you're here is to find out how to become a successful sister. And sort of what I thought would be useful would be to go into a little bit of background about how I became a successful sister. So in the beginning, I always wanted to be a nurse, and I was inspired to be a nurse by being given a nurse's uniform by my mother when I was about 5 years old. It didn't actually fit, actually, it was very small. But, and also they had assembly in my infant school, and the assembly title was, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said to my mother, who was working as a care assistant, "What shall I say? What should I say I want to be?" And she said, "Why don't you say you want to be a nurse like your mum?" So I said that, and with the nurse's uniform, that was it. I was set to be a nurse, and that's, you know, that was my driving passion for all of my childhood and my teenage years. And that was supplemented sort of by programs like Angels. I don't know if anybody remembers Angels from the 70s. And there was also a program called General Hospital, and there was a lady called Sister Washington, who was a black nurse, and I thought, oh yeah, I want to do that. And there was also a program called Young Doctors, which is from Australia, and it was very camp and very funny. I don't think it was meant to be, but I love those programs. I also joined St John's Ambulance and learned how to do fantastic bandaging, and visited hospitals, which is all very, very exciting. So I grew up in Loughborough in Leicestershire. My parents are Jamaican, and they moved to Loughborough in the late 60s, and I grew up there. And, you know, Loughborough, the East Midlands in the 70s was, you know, it wasn't a very diverse place. I was one of, you know, one or two black schoolgirls in class, and I had this kind of dual lifestyle where at school, I guess I was a normal English schoolgirl, but at home I was totally different, and I had a Jamaican lifestyle. My parents, you know, different food, different traditions, different ways of being, and that was quite difficult to balance. And, you know, throughout my life, you know, that was quite hard for me. And the 70s were, you know, they were quite racist. There wasn't much diversity or acknowledgement of diversity, so I didn't want to stay in Loughborough, and I wanted to be in a place where there were more people who looked like me. And so, and my ambition was to be a nurse, and my ambition was to go to London and be like the nurses in Angels. So I went there, and, you know, and came to London. Now, I love London. I've lived here now for 37 years, and it's wonderful. And I loved my career as a nurse. But, you know, it hasn't always been easy. I've done quite well, and I've been lucky to have mentors and coaches and development opportunities. And what I want is for the NHS is for those opportunities to be available to everyone, regardless of luck, and more through judgment rather than luck. So we get into how to be a successful sister. So, and I did okay. And so how did I do that? So I, as I said, I was lucky in some ways in that I had access to people who helped me. And I got this sort of quote here, which is by Liza Minnelli, and I just saw it on the television. I thought, oh, that's really good. And it's like being always ready for your opportunity. So one of the differences I think about myself is that I was always on the lookout for how things could be. When I started nursing, I thought the sister knew everything. And I eventually learned that, you know, it's always a learning process, and that you learn as much and you'll bring as much to the party as anybody else. But you do need help to navigate, you know, that ladder to success, I guess. So how I did it, I was really lucky to have coaching. I was lucky to have people who saw my potential and recommended me to go on courses. I also, once I'd done those courses, I applied for quite a few jobs and didn't get them, but I always went for feedback and asked, you know, is there any opportunities? And then, you know, that led to people knowing that I was there, and for comments and taking short-term contracts, which I didn't know would lead to something, but always did. I would also like to say that, you know, consider sideways moves and not always be looking to be promoted. And I know I really believe that. nursing is a career where you can use a portfolio of transferable skills. And, I didn't always work as a clinical nurse. In fact, I worked in commissioning for 10 years, and it's really important to maintain your registration, to maintain what a nurse is. Now, I've left the NHS now and I'm working full time as an entrepreneur, but I still am a nurse. And, one of the reasons for my company is called the Device and Diverse Nurse is around maintaining my registration and also using my nursing skills to help people and to do the work that I want to do. So another thing is networking, which I'll come on to later, and also have a goal. Set your goals high, really think about what you want to do, what you want to achieve in your career, and the universe will provide. And that sounds really corny, but I have to tell you, if you say, I want to be a sister, or I want to be a director of nursing, and you aim high, your actions will sort of help you to get there. So I had at least 14 different jobs in my career. And that's what I was saying earlier, that, these are a list of the jobs that I did in my nursing career. They weren't all as clinical nurses. Some were project management, some were commissioning, and they were in all different facets. So my speciality was intensive care, and I worked in cardiovascular intensive care, I worked in special care, baby units, and I worked in general paediatric care. And, I started my leadership journey as a sister of a HDU, a high dependency unit, and that's how it went. In my career, so the NHS is changing all the time, and I've been through 4 major reorganisations, one quite recently, and those reorganisations are quite tough, but they're also an opportunity to see what you can do differently. So, if you've done the networking, if you've done, the coaching, you've gone for your opportunities, what makes an effective leader? And I think in our careers, we should be always looking at what the difference we can make, what is our unique attributes, what makes you different. And if you want to progress, that makes you different. I always look for potential in people, and people who want to progress in their career. And a good leader is someone that helps someone to do that, who doesn't just get there themselves, but helps others to do that, and to have a high sort of self-awareness and your impact on other people, and making regular time to learn. I know that in my career, I was always learning, and I was always watching, and I was always seeing what happened. I think it's also really important to keep an eye on the news, what's happening. I mean, COVID-19 had a massive impact on nursing and how we did it, and how it was done. And for example, this time last year, I was working for NHS England, and I was looking at a project around how we could work more remotely. And I was really struggling to sort of get people to see the benefits of working remotely, of doing meetings online. And I worked in a wide geographical area, and that was the benefits of doing that would be around time, traveling time, expenses, all sorts of things. But people were quite reluctant to do it. And then COVID-19 happened, and we did it in a week. So that just goes to show, again, that sort of COVID-19 was awful, obviously, but it did bring about, rapid change and innovation. And, if a leader is somebody who sees those, sees how it's going and says, well, what can we do differently? How can we manage that? And I think we've all been through that over the last few months. So earlier I talked about networking and do's and don'ts, and I think I'm quite a cheeky person, and I'm quite happy to go up to people. You can tell that because I'm doing this, but networking is, for me, is to letting people know what your ambitions are, getting to know people. And I have a philosophy which talked about a very good friend of mine is never close a door. When you meet somebody, find out something about them, and then tell them something about yourself. I think people do get quite intimidated by doing that, but I would say practice with you know, your colleagues, with your friends. Like if you meet someone new, what are you going to say to them, and you know, how are you going to make them feel at their ease? And we do this with patients all the time. So you know, I've said before that, you know, sometimes people feel you know, strange about talking to men, but there are different connectors that people can use. So one of the connectors I use, I'm not saying you don't have to use this one, but I support Arsenal football team. So if I speak to a man and I haven't got anything in common with him really, I ask him about football. Now I don't know much about any other sports, but I do a bit, but you know, and they might not like football, but you know, that's one of the connectors that I use. I have children, that's another one you can use, and also the great English weather that you can talk about the weather also. What I would also say when you're the don'ts are, you know, don't just talk about yourself. It's not nice to just listen to somebody's just interested in talking about themselves, and don't just talk to people you already know. Make an effort to talk to people that you don't know and find out new experiences, because you never know when you're going to come across them again. Don't be on your phone all the time. You know, the internet's great, I love my phone, but you know, there's a time and a place for them, and don't badmouth your fellow organisation or your fellow professionals, even if you're well justified, because nobody likes somebody who does that. And don't overlook a potential opportunity. The first coach I had, I met him at a dinner for a course that I was on, and I asked him to be my mentor, and I'd never met him before in my life. Okay, so if you get you know, a leadership position, there's a few things that you should do. And actually, this is an interview question that I've been asked more than once. So you should have a plan for what you're going to do in your sort of first 100 days, so your first 3 months or so. And it's around getting to know the organisation, what the organisation's objectives are, you know, and how can you, you know, fit into that, what development opportunities that you will need to help people, and, you know, what you can expect in terms of supervision and help and support as well. I would have some goals for your first 3 months, like you're going to get to know all the people in a certain department. That's one goal you can have, or that you're going to produce a certain amount of work, or you're going to be, you know, you're going to meet, you know, people who are junior to you and help them. I would say always have a mentor, find a mentor, somebody who can help you. I'd say ask questions, and I would give yourself some key performance data, like, you know, how many people have I met? You know, do I know all the departments in this organisation? You know, how long did it take to do that? And then you'll know, you know, from a standing start where you are getting to. And that's some tips and insights, I think, that will help you with when you start a new job. It is very daunting to start a new job, especially when it's in a leadership position. But what I would say to you, the reason they're giving you the job is because you're the best person for it. One of the things that I found when I got my first senior leader position is there was not I felt there was no one to ask, and in a way you're getting the job because you're the, you know, you're the expert, and you know, you trust your judgment, but there is always someone to ask as well, who and people want you to succeed. So I said that around 10 things that fab teams do, and teamwork is really, really important. It's what makes work enjoyable. It's, you know, what keeps you going, and there's a lot of great support there as well. And I think it's important to know who the members of your team, and to appreciate the difference in your team. There may be different, you know, people have got different strengths, and you know, building a team that works well is around looking at how people are different, and who's got what strengths and who, you know, and what haven't, and how can you blend those strengths into making a fantastic team. I'd encourage you to build a diverse network of people around you, and not just to, you know, recruit or develop in the people who are like you. It's really, really easy to do that, and there's, you know, there's lots of research about, you know, diverse teams are really, really effective. It's important to communicate. It's important to articulate expectations and to hear what the expectations of the team are. And, you know, it's, you know, if you do those sort of things, it's, you will get to a win-win. I admire Oprah Winfrey very much, and you know, I've got a vision that to be the equivalent of Oprah Winfrey in the United Kingdom, and that's, you know, that's aiming high, but I'm keeping it. I'm keeping that in mind, and this is one of the reasons that I'm doing things like this. This is one of the reasons I started my own company. This is the reasons that I'm doing different things in as a nurse to make money, but I'm also serving and, you know, helping with healthcare, you know, as a nurse should do. So I'm going to almost finish on this quote from Oprah saying, create the highest and grandest vision possible for your life, because you could become what you believe. And I really believe that. And because that has been very, very true for me. So we're nearly there. So thank you so much. I think there's going to be a virtual room afterwards that we can connect and talk together. And I really encourage you to get in contact with me. There'll be some links around how you can do that. That I'll put up as well. But I'm going to do a bit of a plug. I've just done a podcast, and I literally finished recording it last night. By this time this goes out, it'll be live. So give it a listen. It's called The Dawn Jarvis Show, and it's about healthcare, self-care, and well-being. And with that, thank you so much for listening. If you're still here, thank you. And I hope to connect with you and see you soon. Thank you very much.